Welcome to the Worry Away podcast, where we talk about all things Liberty Christian School. I'm your host for today, Jared Malinchuk, Assistant Head of School, and I'm so glad you're joining us for today's show. Today is episode number 51, and we're talking community and leadership with Associate Athletic Director for Boys Athletics and Head Baseball Coach, Billy Jordan. So with that, let's dive into today's conversation. Billy, thanks for being on the podcast today, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for taking some time out of your day to chat with us, and some good stuff. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. And I would love for our listeners to know you've been a coach, you've been in education, you've been athletic director in your current position. Tell us about your background, man, and how the Lord kind of brought you to where you're at today.
Yeah, absolutely. I've held several roles here at Liberty Christian, and so this may take a little bit of a time, but
that's okay.
I'll explain how I got here and my roles here at Liberty and how I ended up in education. And so my degree was in exercise science from Lubbock Christian University in Lubbock. Played college baseball there, and when I got done graduating, I stayed there and coached for 2 years at Lubbock Christian University.
Okay.
While I was coaching there, I was also managing a fitness center there, and so kind of holding two roles while I was still coaching and managing that fitness center.
Not busy at all.
Right. That didn't change. Still busy.
Yeah, that's right.
I knew I wanted to coach, but I didn't know at what level that was going to be at. I figured I would stay at the college level. LCU was an amazing place. It's where I met my wife, who also works here in the development department. She's from this area. That's how we ended up here in DFW. Obviously, I was reluctant to move this way as I'm from West Texas, so smaller country town, and the thought of downtown Dallas definitely
didn't appeal to you, huh?
No, was not excited about that. I think I came to DFW one time ever growing up, and that was to go to Six Flags one time, and so it just gives me nightmares a little bit. So luckily, I didn't really know that DFW wasn't just one big downtown Dallas, and so when we came down here and we moved to Grapevine, and so Grapevine wasn't as bad, a little bit smaller, gave me kind of a hometown feel. And so anyway, back to how I ended up in high school education. My wife actually took a job here first at Liberty Christian, and through her interview process, they found out my baseball background. Not too long after that, I received a phone call from then at the time AD Greg Price. He asked if I'd be interested in coaching baseball here and helping in the strength and conditioning department. He also mentioned that it would be part-time, so I didn't have to teach. In my mind, I had no intention of going into teaching at that time. And so I agreed, come on and coach baseball and work in the strength and conditioning department. Funny thing, at that time, Johnny Isom, alumni department now, he was a head baseball coach, and I'm pretty sure he didn't know he had a new baseball coach at that time. When Greg called me and I accepted, I'm pretty sure Johnny had no idea that he was getting a new coach.
Wow.
Funny thing is Johnny and I are best buds now, so it worked out pretty good. After a year of just coaching here, I got a phone call again from Greg, and then Greg asked if I'd be interested in coming on full-time and teaching. And so, okay, what am I teaching here? Been in the sports industry, the fitness industry, and I've managed 2 gyms, so kind of business mind. And he said, well, we have a position in business computers. So I thought, okay, if there's anything I can teach, it may be business computers, right? And dealing in computers and what I've been doing for the past probably 3 or 4 years. And so I accepted that, and so came on full time, and then have been here 14 years since that. And so just real quick, going back, so I taught for 6 years. When I first came here, I taught business computers, I taught Bible, and I taught public speaking. After teaching, I went into youth athletics. And so funny story real quick there is Dr. Hare was still here, and we had no youth sports here, but we did have youth football that played kind of outside the school.
Okay.
Well, anything else like education in the school, right, had a little issues going on in the youth football, had nothing to do with the school.
Right.
Dr. Hare came up and said, you know what, if we're dealing with these issues and they're not even really a part of us, so we might as well take it over. And so he went to Zach Vest at that time, assistant AD, and said, hey, do you know of anybody that can handle youth sports? And so that's when I came in. And so I took over youth sports there. We took over football, and then from there just kind of created the youth athletic department, which has 9 sports now, and built that into what it is now. And so anyway, building that youth program, we wanted to provide youth sports to our students with the same mission and vision as our middle school and upper school sports.
Yeah.
And then in 2019, I took the position as assistant AD, and 3 years after that, stepped into associate AD role. I also took on the head baseball coaching job in 2020.
Yeah.
And to say that was interesting, that was the year of COVID and my first year as head coach. So that was a wild one.
Absolutely.
And then so in my time here at Liberty, also obviously have had several roles that God has put me in to better serve the mission and vision of the school. So that's just a little bit of how I got here and what I've done while I'm here.
Man, the Lord has used you in a lot of different ways, man. I love this. So explain to those that are listening, when you say associate AD and the head baseball coach, I think most people kind of understand the baseball side, I'd imagine. But when you say associate AD, what kind of stuff do you oversee and kind of what are you speaking into as a leader on the athletic side?
Yeah, for sure. As I serve as the associate AD over boys sports.
Got it.
So right now I'm over boys soccer, wrestling, tennis, boys basketball, golf, as well as those sports. I also oversee the sports information coordinator, our youth athletic coordinator, and our sports performance coordinators.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I mentioned earlier that I oversee them, but I would more say I actually get to serve these in their areas.
And what a blast from the past. And now you get to supervise the program that you helped launch with the youth.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
It's full circle. So tell me about, here we are recording in October of 24. Tell me about maybe a highlight or two just from athletics this year that you wanted to share. Maybe you want to brag a little bit about some of the cool stuff going on that people may or may not know about our athletic program.
Yeah, I mean, I think from an athletic standpoint, we do so many things well. We really do. And sometimes it's hard to see that when you're just focused on one area. But when you get outside and you go to other schools and see other athletic facilities and other programs and how they're doing, we're doing a really good job here at Liberty. And so it's amazing to see that. But specifically to our programs, just, kind of generically, our fall sports that have kicked off have really just set the tone. Our football program is 6-1 right now with a huge win over Prestonwood this last Friday. Our volleyball program is 26-7, undefeated in district play. And our cross country has had a minimum of 4 PRs in every race. The girls have medaled in the top 5, and the team has placed top 3 overall in the majority of their meets. And so I would say from a program standpoint, that's one highlight. My second highlight, I would say, something we would call wins in athletics or just the amount of upgrades we've been able to do across our athletic facilities to improve them and stay ahead of the game. That's what we're trying to do in the department.
Absolutely, man. And, when you were just listening to you kind of recount some different roles you've had and maybe some of you thought, wow, I never thought I'd be getting myself into this, but here I am, the Lord's using you. You've been at Liberty for 15 plus years. What have you observed about the community of Liberty over these years? Maybe a memory that stands out to you, because I think folks like yourself and others have a unique perspective for families that are coming into our school nowadays.
Man, just thinking back again, year 14 right now, I think back on my time here at Liberty, and I've seen so much change. A lot of it is good change. And one thing I will say that has never changed in the 14 years I've been here is that Jesus is by far alive and well in this school.
Amen.
And the main thing, I think, from a community aspect that I would say is we've grown as a school. And when we've grown as a school, we've grown in school spirit. And I think over the past 3 to 4 years, our school spirit within our community has been outstanding. And I'm not just speaking of football games, because you can go to a football game and walk in and just feel the atmosphere, and it's just tremendous. But I think our community has rallied around multiple athletic teams and fine art events to make the environment for our students like no other.
Yeah.
And so when we have 4 schools under one roof, we have to take advantage of that and get everyone involved.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the lightning round. We're going to have our guests answer as many questions as possible in 30 seconds. Billy, are you ready?
Yes. Are we trying to answer as many as we can?
As many as you can.
Go as quick.
Oh, you can go fast, man. Break some records. Here we go. Last thing you bought on Amazon?
My daughter's medieval knight costume for today.
That sounds about right. Favorite scene or line from Happy Gilmore?
Scene's probably got to be in the batting cage taking balls to the chest.
Favorite Major League Baseball player all time?
Mariano Rivera, Yankees closer.
Which leads to my next question. If you had a walk-up song, what would it be?
Easy. Inner Sandman.
Describe a confusing sign or an awkward sign from a third base coach. What would an awkward sign look like from a third base coach?
An awkward sign. I've seen a lot of bad coaches, so I've seen a lot of bad signs. Oh, man, that's a good one. Maybe it's just wiping the mouth. I seen a guy one time just wiping his mouth.
That's weird.
So it may not have been a sign. It may have just been wiping his mouth, but it was still weird.
All right, and here's one for you. Which sport would you add to Liberty's program if budget and reality weren't even an issue? You're just going to throw a new sport at Liberty next year. What sport are you going to throw at us?
Oh, I'm going to probably have to go with horseback riding.
Oh, yes.
Yes. I feel like we actually have a lot of kids that do it. I'm big in cattle and horses, and so I want to see it.
You heard it here first, folks. You heard it here first. And so should AD, Billy Jordan, horseback riding. Billy, I want to give you the final word for today's show. Go ahead and share a word of encouragement or a scripture with the Warrior community.
I would end with this. Throughout my time here at Liberty, no place is perfect. We as people are not perfect. So if people are looking for a perfect place, they won't find it here. They won't find it anywhere else except for in Jesus. I do believe as a school we do a really, really good job of keeping Jesus the main thing in the front step of our school, academics, and in our athletic programs. I said it earlier, but God is alive and well in Liberty Christian School, and it is so fun to watch Him do all the amazing things throughout our school and our student lives.
I want to thank our Associate Athletic Director and Head Baseball Coach, Billy Jordan, for being on the podcast today, along with Mr. Josh and Mr. Hayburn for their behind-the-scenes support of the show. If you have any questions or comments for the show, feel free to drop us a line at podcast@mylcs.com. As always, be sure to subscribe to the Warrior Way Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on YouTube. Until next time, go Warriors.